Army of Two.
Like so many other developers in the industry, EA Games has a reputation for hyping up each title in an attempt to bolster sales upon its release. There's really nothing unusual about this. It makes perfect sense and works like a charm almost every single time. The only problem is, sometimes the game in question receives so much glorification that it begins to exceed the game to actual quality and, upon release, receives a bad mark for being less than what was expected. So there's no surprise that EA's latest project, Army of Two, almost fell prey to that very problem of over-glorification, hype being what it is. After a few delays and enough trailers to craft a full-feature CG film, Army of Two is finally ready to pick up and play. Laced with ingredients derivative of any summer action flick, the game is a globe-trotting thrill ride that spans 6 countries and a good 16 years in the careers of Tyson Rios and Elliot Salem, 2 former Army Rangers who get hired by a massive private military firm called Security and Strategy Corporation. With so many private military contractors deployed around the world nowadays, the foundation for Army of Two's story harbors a much greater sense of believability than most shooters centered around fictional conflicts or more fantastical science fiction venues, even if it does take a certain creative license here and there. The game raises some ethical questions about the dangers of privatizing the military, as evidenced by President Eisenhower's farewell address to the nation, making an appearance in the first trailer. Other than that, and the gorgeous-looking cutscenes, the narrative isn't all that spectacular.
Is that so?
When it comes to protagonists in video games, the only thing more cliché than Space Marines are mercenaries. From Star Fox to Matthias Nilsson, from Samus Aran to Cloud Strife, our 2 newcomers, Salem and Rios, seek recognition in one of the most crowded professions in the industry. In spite of this, Rios and Salem will probably be what is most memorable about Army of Two's story, since both their personalities are surprisingly not cliché.
They think we're better equipped to deal with the potential ambushes than they are.
Hey, as long as they're paying, I don't give a shit what they think.
You got that right.
Their witty dialogue offers something rarely seen in most games, which is good humor.
Damn Cowboys better win tonight.
Big game, huh?
I got 10 G's on the spread.
A year ago you didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, and now you're blowing 10 grand on sports betting?
Whatever, if I win, I'll be able to pay off my credit cards.
You are out of your mind.
We're pulling so much bank now, how can you worry about cash?
We're making bank because we're at war now. This war ends and you're not going to be able to sustain your lifestyle.
Relax, man, this war ain't ending anytime soon.
This constant tongue-in-cheek back and forth adds an extra layer of depth to both our heroes, and helps the player relate to them a whole lot easier because they actually seem like real dudes. Another plus of the storyline is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, an aspect of the aforementioned action flick ingredients. This is first and foremost an action game. The story isn't taking center stage, and it knows that. Every cutscene that feeds you the next piece of narrative primarily serves to get you pumped up and eager to get back into the action. Cooperative play was a novel idea from the very beginning. Sure, braving the wide array of digital worlds available to every gamer is fun, but it gets twice as good if you can do it with a couple of friends. Army of Two takes this one step further, putting cooperative play in the driver's seat while the single player becomes little more than a backseat driver. There are plenty of 2-man maneuvers to explore here that you and your partner will utilize to both kill the enemy and progress through levels. The main focus of the gameplay is the aggro meter, short for aggression, which is a slider that shows which player has the enemy's attention. If you start kicking ass and taking names, your aggro is going to attract attention, the kind of attention that gets you shot and killed. Thankfully, this isn't a US Army commercial, so you've got your partner who's there to help you by flanking around the enemy while they're paying attention to you. And if you do go down, your partner can drag you to safety before he patches up your gunshot wound with a tampon and vice versa. You'll also be rewarded. If you keep the aggro meter high enough, long enough, you can enter overkill mode, which means you're invincible, can do twice as much damage, and have unlimited ammo for about 10 seconds. While it may seem a bit gimmicky at first, I think you'll find that the aggro system is an exceptional idea that makes the gameplay more interesting than most run-and-gun shooters, since the game practically forces you to utilize it in many areas if you want to make it out alive, and it becomes evident early on that gung-ho bum rushing won't get you very far.
Ladies, lift your shirts!
The gameplay does have its problems, however. Some of the 2-man maneuvers, like back-to-back mode or doors that require 2 buttons to be pressed simultaneously before they can open, seem a bit overly contextual at times, and the suspect aiming can get a little frustrating before you get the handle on things. Of course, Army of Two does have one undeniably positive form of content: guns. Lots of guns. As you progress through each mission, you gain money for completing each objective, some of them entirely optional, and you can use this money to buy and customize new weapons and even new ballistic masks for each character. Since you can carry primary, secondary, and special weapons, in addition to the inherent hand grenades, there is a ton of unlockable content here. You can put everything from silencers to shields to pimped out gold plating on your guns, and the number of upgrades available are so robust that this alone is reason enough to play through the game enough times to buy and try everything you can. The single player isn't very long, the ending is a little on the shallow side of the satisfaction pool, and even on its hardest setting, it's entirely possible to complete the campaign in a good day's worth of gaming. There's also a lukewarm selection of competitive multiplayer modes available, with only 4 maps to choose from and a cap of only 4 players. Also encouraging 2-man strategy, I say lukewarm because Army of Two's versus multiplayer is still a lot of fun, it just lacks content. More maps and a few extra players would have been a welcome addition, and the 3 modes available are really just 3 variations of the same mode. Overall, the versus multiplayer, while fun, feels a little unfinished without feeling like it was totally tacked on. EA has taken a huge chance releasing Army of Two since it strays so far from what most action gamers know and love. When a developer tries something new and innovative, there's always risk involved. It comes with the territory, and it certainly shows here. Minor complaints, and even major complaints aside, however, Army of Two stands as a huge step forward in the concept of integral cooperative gameplay, and I'm really hoping that they'll smooth out all the rough edges in a sequel because this game has the beginnings of something really amazing. Conclusively, EA has given us a worthwhile title that any open-minded gamer should be able to appreciate. Army of Two truly illustrates the idea that 1 man is a soldier, but 2 men are an army.
Some critics will call this profiteering, but I call it progress.
Oh shit.